and welcome back all for the plenary session. Actually, when we said all, this is a word that it will strive our session for today. So yes, welcome to the last plenary session of our conference. We can say that we have followed the sinuous path last 2 days, going backwards and forwards. We have started our conference with analyzing the role of the Balkans in constructing and in the future of the European Union. And there arises one important idea. During this session, it was about identity. And during the session, it was also mentioned that patience and tolerance create identity. Therefore, we followed our conference with another very important topic, which is challenges for Europe. And during this day, we have focused on two of the main challenges that Europe is facing today, that of nationalism and politicizing the refugees crisis. But there is still a question that it remained without answer from the yesterday's session. We have seen that there are and have been built fences all over us. But the question that remained is, what are the hardest fences to overcome? The fences that are built outside us or the fences that we construct inside ourselves? And this would be also one of the points that we will address during this session. We have arrived in this morning where the hand was put on action and the spotlight came to the importance of us and of the importance of youth active participation and initiative for a real grassroots social change. And here we are at the concluding session of the conference. During this session, social inclusion and diversity will stay hand in hand with awareness and human rights. And after all these days, where we have searched and looked for solutions and means of action that will construct a better environment, we will focus during the session on the power of choices for self-construction. And with this, I'm opening a session that is both addressing the mind and the heart. And with this also, I would like to welcome, we have new guests for this session. So our interculturality, internalization, unity, and all-isness, if we can say it like this, it comes even more richer with our new friends from Romania, Poland, Turkey, and Macedonia with the different abilities, and we would like to welcome them. And as for the stage panel, we'd like to welcome and to thank that they are here with us to Petър Neftelimov, advocate of positive journalism and blogger, co-organizer of Run Together Bulgaria, and mentor at the student mentorship program Able Mentor, studying biotech in Sofia University and ambassador at Balkans Everywhere. Welcome and thank you for coming here with us. Also on the stage, we have together with us Monika Tasevska, activist for the rights of sexual workers and coordinator of the first collective of sexual workers on the Balkans, Star, and actively involved in the human rights defense organizations such as HOPES, HERA, and ISPOR. Welcome and thank you for coming. And nonetheless, we have Viktorija P. Oblak, coach at Judo Klub Sokol from Ljubljana. Viktorija studied social work for people with diverse abilities, is president of the Commission for the Inclusive Judo at the Slovenian Judo Federation, and supported the national competition system for judokas with diverse abilities, having PhD in Faculty of Sports on the topic of inclusion in sports. Therefore, there will be 2 hours where we will all come together, focused on our common mainstream of today, social inclusion and diversity. And with this, I'd like to start the session and invite Petър to start with his presentation. We will follow the presentation, just a short announcement to have before. If you have questions that you would like to address to Petъr, please write them down, and at the end of the presentation, to give to Anelija, and she will hand to us. Therefore, Peter, the floor is yours.
Hello. Journalists in a new positive media. The name was Uspolite.vg, which translates into the successful ones. You are probably asking yourself, how on earth would I be a journalist? But I still applied and they picked me up. In the last 2 years, I have been a volunteer at their team. As such, I have the pleasure to meet and interview successful Bulgarians home and abroad. I do it because, as Brian Tracy says, if we want to be successful, we need to learn from the best and follow them. Given circumstances I do not remember, I joined Jamba a year later. This is a platform which connects people with disabilities with their future employers. We have found jobs for 80 people with different abilities. This is how we actually call people with disabilities. We have realized 2 events and won many awards, including presenting Jamba to the Clinton Foundation in the United States. Let me show you a video of what we actually do.
С Йоана се срещнахме преди 4 години като доброволци и тогава започнахме да работим с хора с различни възможности. Имахме шанс да видим колко голям потенциал имат те, колко са мотивирани наистина, да видим това, че живота на голяма част от тях преминава в изолация, в къщи, много врати биват затваряни за тях и заради това всъщност се вдъхновихме и си казахме, че искаме наистина да се борим с това предизвикателство, за да осигурим просто равен достъп до образование, старт на кариера и съответно интеграция в обществото. Джамба е една мечта, която аз и реализирахме преди повече от година. Стартирахме с идеята да направим онлайн платформа, която да свързва бизнеса с хората с различни възможности. Така всъщност ние искаме всички да възприемат хората с увреждания, защото те наистина са хора, които имат право на равен шанс за включване в пазара на труда. Хората с различни възможности всъщност са изключително пълноценни кандидати и това, че в крайна сметка имат нещо, което не им достига, за да извършват дадена дейност, не означава, че по някакъв начин не могат да се включат активно и да извършват предвид тяхните функционални различия работа, която да ги прави щастливи и икономически активни. В началото беше много трудно да стигнем до бизнеса, но сме щастливи, че година и половина вече по-късно все повече и повече фирми се обръщат към нас проактивно дори и имат желанието да наемат на работа хора с функционални различия. Секторите са наистина различни, телекоми, банковия сектор, IT сектор, всичко свързано с дигитални медии и така нататък, счетоводство, наистина е много голямо разнообразие в компании. Вярвам в това, че хората трябва да бъдат активни, трябва да действат, да се борят за мечтите си и за нещата, които искат да реализират, защото да, животът е труден, постоянно има предизвикателства, които се срещат по пътя ти, но въпреки това никога не трябва да губиш мотивация, вяра, надежда, защото достатъчно много със сърцето си, нещата се случват, намираш прекрасни хора, с които да случваш нещата, в които вярваш. Това е много, много важно, защото сам човек никога не може да постигне мечтите си и съответно никога не трябва да се отказва. Наистина трябва да бъдем смели и да действаме.
Надеждата е в действието. Силата е в теб.
You probably know the story of the great composer Ludwig van Beethoven. He started losing his hearing at 25 but continued creating music until his death at the age of 56. Beethoven says, "I would put an end to my life, only my art prevents me from doing so. It is impossible to leave the world, until I do not take out everything I carry inside me." We from Jamba organized the first ever European marathon for couples run together. A couple usually consisted of a person with a huge heart and a person with different abilities. They need to cover a distance between 2 and 6 kilometers and cross the final together where they share the half of a medal as a symbol of their new friendship. Run Together was established by Mr. Chache from Thailand. For the last 4 years this is the biggest social event in Bangkok. The first one in Bulgaria gathered 1,000 participants. Run Together Bulgaria want to popularize sport for everyone and the need for equal inclusion and access for people with different abilities. To do professionally marketing, communications, and event management. Several months I was searching for relevant advertisements, but all of them required live meetings and phone conversations. I obviously cannot talk over the phone or successfully handle a live meeting. This is how I came up with the idea to create the platform professionalisti.info, where everyone can freely describe what they have been doing professionally, what skills they have and how they could be helpful to others. The second reason to create this platform was the growing rate of publications in the social network in search of different professionals. People we now start flooding us with lists of professional contacts we never heard of. We start so many conversations until we find the best suited professional for our tasks. That is why I created the platform, which helps to find a list of professionals with a single click. These videos show how it looks like. The platform is only in Bulgarian for now, but anyone can register. How are you? I hope you are not too bored. Here comes the most interesting part. I will tell you about an adventure I experienced less than 2 months ago, and I still feel the mosquito bites on my skin. With 4 other enthusiasts from Balkans everywhere and my mother, we covered 300 kilometers with a bike down the Danube River along the Bulgarian route Eurovelo 6. All of this just within 5 days. The others were cycling. Of course, I was enjoying my naps on the bike. There was always someone next to me on our tandem tricycle, created especially for our adventure, and on a support bike riding next to us. The others traveled in a camper ahead of us in search of a comfortable place to camp. I will list the 3 most unforgettable moments of the adventure. Yes. Going downhill was the coolest thing. These moments end up really quickly and you need to live it up to the maximum. It feels as if you are flying. Of course, first you need to go through the uphill boredom. We were crawling with 2 kilometers per hour and I was falling asleep. But once we reached the top, it was unique. Going downhill is just the same as having sex. You just felt at your best and it's over. I was not used to greeting strangers on the streets, but that's precisely what my biking friends were doing all day long. Interestingly enough, 99% of the people responded with a smile and greeted us back. No one swore at us. Only 1% stared at us with their mouths open. Probably because of our beauty. It is amazing to wake up at 6 and already go cycling at 7. And the whole village greets you with a smile and a welcome, regardless of their age and sex. During one of the days, we were cycling and an old man ahead of us was selling watermelons and peaches. He saw us and gave us 3 of his nicest peaches for free. The same thing happened the other day upon entering Titrakan. It was early morning and we were so hungry that these peaches looked like heaven. Ned could not resist and asked the old man cycling them around. He turned around, smiled and gave us 3 of his best peaches. I love the little gestures in life. The landscape in those 5 days was simply outstanding. It was like living in a different world, without worries, stress, work, and problems. Only mosquitoes, but you could easily get over them with the right mantra. Full calmness with oneself and the nature. 4 out of the 5 nights we slept at the Danube coast. I have never sit or traveled so long next to her. The feeling is immense, like a mother's care. A totally different world. We spent one of the lunch breaks under the bridge. However this might sound like. There you realize 2 things. First, how small a man is and how much bigger things could destroy you within a second. Second, how big a man is for being able to build such huge things in help of others. Here are the 5 most extreme moments during the velo trip. It was the end of day 1. We entered a village whose name I cannot remember. It was a village built along a long, straight main road. Only one other car passed through the road within 30 minutes. The whole village was surrounded by mountains. There was no mobile or internet coverage. Still, few of the houses appeared to have their own satellite television. Even the horses were staring at us strangely. We did not see a single man out on the street, but there was light inside the houses. What were they doing? There was even an abbey in the center of the village. A mystery. I do not know if we had transferred in a different reality, but I had a feeling that nothing has its ending. House after house. Horse after horse. And so it went. You don't know what would happen if you close your eyes. But here I am with you, shivering and telling you about this village. I still have no idea what it was. It was day 2. The sun was at its peak, shining really strong. Our heads were all burning. No matter how much water we spilled on them, it evaporated immediately. Had we broken some eggs on top of our heads, they would fry immediately. Huge joy. No boundaries for our happiness. And we are still alive. This happened on day 3 upon entering Rus, the biggest Bulgarian city on the Danube. There was huge truck traffic. This made us ride the tricycle together with all the cars at speed of 90 kilometers per hour. This was particularly dangerous for the support bike because the cars were passing only 10 centimeters away from it. Everyone was beeping. Some were probably showing us their middle fingers. Well, Such a great joy, indeed. This might sound a bit strange, but, indeed, on day 4 we found ourselves in a really cool house. Here on the photo is Yvonne taking a selfie with 7 cats. Can you imagine having 7 boats at your house without sailing at least one of them? What kind of life would that be? Once Alex saw the kayak, he jumped on it like it was the dream of his life. I also loved the boat. So we decided to cover the kilometers from Vardim to Bellini on the yacht. Well, it was a motorboat, but yacht sounds cooler. Don't you worry, the tricycle was also on the boat. No one was pissed. This was the coolest of all cool things. I had never been on a motorboat before. I was worried if I would even be able to stand in it, or that I would fall out of board. I was surprised to find out that I can keep a very good balance, so the experience was great. Next time, instead of a boat, I will try riding a buffalo. Well, I could not fall aboard, but my hat totally did. It went down the Danube, so to say. If anyone finds a white hat anywhere along the Danube, please bring it back to me. Thanks. Day 5 was actually our day for an overview. Having reached our final destination at Nikopol, it was time for celebrations, drinks, and an overview. At some point Ned turned to me and asked how do I evaluate the adventure from 1 to 10. Without much thinking I responded 9. Then came the look on his face. He asked me why. I answered that no matter how great and memorable it has been, we cannot say that it was 200% perfect. There always needs to be some space for another 10% to build up on and improve. Otherwise, there would be no joy in existence if we believed that everything went perfectly. Ned, our musician and poet, even wrote a piece of poetry for our velo trip. Here it is, in Bulgarian.
Пътуваме трима по реката, а кемпера в Белене ни чака. Пътуваме в лодка с триколка, водният маршрут от тази обиколка. През пек, комари, баири и кълта, движението е нашата свобода. Пътуваме си трима по реката, такава ни била съдбата. 5 дни потът течеше, по баирите триколката летеше, квадрицепсите мускулно крещяха, а пешо в седалката си спеше. И ето, че всичко свършва, по пътят няма миризма на мърша. С гордо вдигната глава, това е Ориста.
This is the first of its kind adventure on the Balkans and probably elsewhere, too. Everyone, regardless of their abilities, carries the adventurous spirit inside. Our goal is to awaken this spirit in the people and prove that impossible is nothing. We want to share our passion for bike touring and have more people following our example. They can feel the joy and adventure brought by traveling with a bike, or as we rather say, biking is the fastest way to travel slowly and truly enjoy the places you see. Unbelievable places which are definitely worth it. I was blessed to be the first one joining Eurovelo's pilot start, but next year we aim for at least 2 other heroes to taste freedom. We have evaluated the differences and got the adequate feedback, especially for the tricycle. We work on its further improvement. We will put an electric motor to help us uphill, because otherwise the speed remains too slow. Anyone can support our initiative Eurovelo for All at BalkansEverywhere.com or by becoming a patron in Patreon. Besides, I also study biotechnologies, so I will use the rest of the time to focus on ourselves and nature itself. After all, we are talking about diversity here, and that is what leads us to success. Everyone can belong to a certain community depending on common characteristics. But everyone is also a unique individual. According to the evolutionary science, whatever conditions we place X in, he or she would never be identical as Y. We are unique in our name, surname, hair, eyes, height, weight, color, interests, qualities, nationality, etc. We are created in a way that there is just one combination and it is the I combination. Everyone is unique in their own way. Everyone is different and there is the key for our success, in ourselves and our different thinking. What would our world look like without Stephen Hawking and people like him who gave so much to our society despite their condition? Life is neither black, nor white. It is colorful and this is how humanity evolution happens. Diversity. Different species have different abilities for life at a different time and space. Given their differences, organisms spread in a separate ecological niche. The place where they find the conditions necessary to exist. This is where they succeed. I will name 4 examples. Polar bears inhabit the North Pole and the frozen coasts of Siberia, Norway, and Canada. Their white fur allows them to find cover in the snowy environment. Whenever going downhill icy areas, the polar bears slide on their bellies. The shape of their legs, paws, and fingers allow these huge animals to keep balance when running on the ice. The giraffe ancestors did not have such long necks and legs, but in time more and more animals were eating their dinners, so to say. Thus, through evolution they managed to change in millions of years. Their differences became more and more obvious. That's how we have the contemporary giraffes. They have no competition because they eat from the highest tree branches. Their newly formed differences allowed them to be competitive and survive in that particular ecological niche. Or for example this beauty which proves that animals put makeup, too, in order to attract outsiders' attention. The batfish with its red mouth is a truly bad girl. It could be found around the Galapagos Islands at a huge depth. She is not the best swimmer but attracts its prey through the bright color of its mouth. She is dangerous, but also modern, which makes us different from other fishes. Or take this beautiful seaweed. Don't you find it strange and different? Sure, this is not a seaweed, but a sea dragon that finds cover in seaweed. Just as a camouflage which helps it avoid becoming a dinner for the predators. We could point at countless similar examples of wildlife and its uniqueness. This is the key to successful existence. Something that makes you unique and succeeding. Now a totally different example. Do you see that slide with the 2 different wheels? The one is flat and the other, rugged. The one cannot take the functions of the other, but they both exist in that form to help us move different objects in our daily life. Both have found their niches in which to be useful to people. Flat wheels we need for our cars, motors, bicycles. With them we move faster from one point to another. Imagine how a ride on rugged wheels would feel like. The rugged wheels, on the other hand, are applicable on many other instances. Take our watches, for example. We could not have them without the rugged wheels. Rugged wheels are rugged for a reason, thus, they enable the joint work of different components. Such a parallel we could draw between a healthy person and a person with disabilities. They see the world and its problems differently. The people with disabilities experience different sorts of challenges. If you ask them, they will give you countless solutions trying to make your life easier and more practical, so that we all could prosper as a society. Isn't this what we all want? Fighting the little obstacles, so that we continue with the bigger struggles? We saw success at the levels of organisms. Let us dig deeper in ourselves. Our cells. At the very beginning all cells were identical in form and shape. They all did different processes as separate entities. Just like free electrons. They were totally useless on their own. So microscopic in such a big world. As time went on, millions of years later, they decided to gather in groups and share the processes and tasks they were involved in. This is how multicellular organisms were born. They became more efficient than before because they specialized. Each of them found its own unique function. Some were responsible for nutrition, other for breathing, for multiplying, for transport and movement of the organism. Sharing their labor, the cells started differentiating in size, functions, and composition. Organisms are divided in 5 big kingdoms: prokaryote, eukaryote, fungi, flora, and fauna. Each kingdom has thousands of different species and their different cells are plenty. Some are strange, others interesting, but all of them are different, having different functions. We owe our success to theirs. I will play an inspiring video for you now which shows the life of the cells. You will witness how alive they are and how we have absolutely no idea of what is going on inside ourselves. I would like to finish off with a phrase which applies to all of us. I probably spoke way too much. I wanted to show the diversity of different viewpoints and where success lies between them. I stop here. Here are my contacts on social media where you could follow me.
Thank you very much, Peter, for preparing this presentation.
Advice to you as well. Surround yourself with positive people. You shouldn't be interested at all about what negative people think about you. It is really that easy. I think if you are here listening to this conference, you are on the right path. Use the rest of this day and tomorrow to the fullest. So, second question is, what is your dream, Peter? My biggest dream is one day to set foot on the planet Mars. Otherwise, I have many, many smaller dreams which I accomplish every day. Third question is, how did you succeed to stand out, find yourself, and be proud of what you do and what you love? I don't consider myself a successful person. It is still too early for me to give myself this title. Otherwise, every day I live and I find something new about myself. And at what age did you find yourself, and how was your childhood like? I believe that childhood doesn't really end. I am and I will always be a big child. And I cannot say anything bad about my childhood so far. Thank you. Questions? I'm sorry. If you have any other questions, so you can still address them.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
Therefore, If there are more questions, you can either raise a hand or write them down. And I would like to underline an important thing that it was mentioned about surround yourself with positive people. And if I be allowed, I would add that surrounding yourself for positive people, it starts from your own inside positiveness, because this will spread around. And even though that there will be, let's say, negative people, that doesn't matter what are the reasons that lead to these attitudes, but by being aware of your positiveness and your inside positive energy, that will surround yourself automatically with positive people. Therefore, not just search for the best environment, but create the best environment, because everything is actually inside our own motivation and our own action. Therefore, if we have other more questions. And I do have the feeling that this will be a very punctual session, and I think it's very nice to end like this. Okay?
I hope it's not too personal, so feel free if not to answer. Can a sexual worker have a private sentimental life?
Other questions?
So I mean, a couple, that was how it works. How is it having like?
Jaz lično za mene, jaz sem majka, imam dete in imam partner.
For me personally, I'm a mother. I'm a mother of a child, and I have a partner. Like every other thing you do, the professional life and the private life is separated.
Okay. If there is other people that would like to complete the information, to complete the panel, and to complete the topic, even though it will be a topic that it will not be end now, but definitely it will arise awareness and questions in our mind and make ourselves first better, and this will definitely strive for a better surrounding. Yeah.
Thank you, Maya. So I don't have a question, but a comment that I cannot withhold myself right now saying. Thank you very much for this session, for this panel. Being here in this room is a true inspiration. As you see, it's not easy, because it's not very often that you see this kind of combination. And as you said, right now you are including us in your world, which doesn't happen every day. So thank you very much, Youth Alliance. Thank you all the speakers for accepting. I know it was not easy for any of you to be here today. And thank you all of you for being here and listening. I feel really bigger and richer right now after these 2 wonderful hours. And I dream of having more of this. And coming really to a world where the diversity will be our main value, and where inclusion will be not a topic anymore, because we'll be together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Boyka, for stressing very, very important what I also wanted to underline in the beginning of this session, that it's a session addressed both to the mind and the heart. And we can say that, yes, we did strive for seeing diversity as a value, but the humanity as a value. And this starts from our, let's say, to self-allowance to be humans, to give the right to the humanity to stay inside us and respect it. And this is how we all put in practice what we all hear, and we know that the real change starts with you. But how many of us actually took some seconds to think, what can I do for bringing a real change? Do I really need to go to Mars, to put the step on the Mars, so as to become a change in the society? Or by just looking into myself and seeing how can I become better. But when we don't have to speak about diversity and social inclusion, then yes, we can say that we do live in that society that we want to. We claim that we want to, but in practice then we find ourselves like different persons. Therefore, let's allow ourselves to become more inclusive, more human, and to give to the value what it's worth to the value. Thank you very much. As a, let's say, last panel, I would like to, and we would like to invite everybody for a group photo. It was a will from Peter that he said, and it's a very nice opportunity because, yes, it's the last time that we are in this forum together. So we invite you to share the stage with us. Anelija.